Hi, folks. I have read your discussion boards today and have provided feedback in the rubric that's associated with the assignment. Please take the time to go in and read the feedback in your grade that was provided to you. Make any adjustments as needed as you move forward into the discussion board, the second one that comes up in this week. The general concept of the discussion board this week was to have you really think about the value of thinking about your thinking, specifically how it affects the affective domain. Nurses get to be very linear thinkers, and we're process thinkers. So we want to know how 1 and 1 equals 2. We want skill checklists. We want things that we can put on to-do lists and post-it notes, line up in our agendas. We're really good at organizing stuff and getting things done. The other piece of the important thing that nurses do is we have to be good critical thinkers. And part of critical thinking is using self-reflection that leads to self-evaluation in adapting and adjusting our own behaviors, our own practices, our own thinking. We have to have quiet time. We have to take time to really think about what we're doing and focus on how to make adjustments based on new insights. I love the fact that you all took such a serious-minded approach to this assignment, and that you really did spend some time thinking about metacognition and appropriately doing a personal analysis. As you can see, it's 6:45 in my house, and it is puppy playtime. So I apologize of the puppies behind my shoulder. Madeline is the big dog. Gracie is somewhere behind my chair baiting her. So if this gets too raucous, I'll grate them. And then I'll try to keep going. Okay, so one of you did a fantastic job really bringing together the concepts of your insights about metacognition and relating it to the biblical worldview. Rachel wrote this in her discussion board. Rachel wrote, "In the end, this program has focused more on who we are becoming as nurse educators, not just on what we need to know in order to do a good job. Because of the time allotted for personal insight, critical thinking, and reflection, we have been given the opportunity to truly embody the role of the nurse educator who put their students first in the planning and teaching process. In Romans, Paul states that we are not like the world. Instead, we should seek first the will of God." And let his mindset renew our thoughts. It is interesting that Paul is not telling Christians what to do in order to live for Christ. Living for Christ first entails reflection, which will cause the individual to treasure God above all other things. From there, one is able to live in good works. Likewise, let us not lose sight of the value of affective learning and metacognition in our practice. As you educate the next generation of nurses, whether they're in practice in the hospital or if you are in an educational setting and they are going through an academic program, I'm going to encourage you to find ways to tie in the concept of metacognition and the affective domain in your teaching practice. And I really appreciate the insights and value that you guys put forward in this assignment. Several of you commented that you felt like the practicum logs were a useful assignment in really connecting you to that self-reflection. And as the one that has to read them and grade them, I was so delighted to hear that it was something that many of you valued and saw the relationship with thinking about your experiences and finding meaning in those experiences. So I thought that was great feedback. I'm going to talk just briefly about next week. You've got another discussion board. You guys are pros at that, so I don't need to cover that. Your professional portfolio part 1 is due. This is new technology for you guys. I want you to know that the industry in healthcare is really moving away from written curriculum vitae. We're really looking at designing portfolios, and more professional portfolios are being placed in an electronic format. I want you to spend time before you try to make your portfolio with all your documents. I want you to play with it. Open it up, play with the fonts, change the background, look at the headers and the footers, personalize it. I promise you, you cannot break this thing. I want you to approach your portfolio as more than a repository for documents. think about how you would want to view information about a potential candidate, whether you're running an interview and it's a new nurse that you're interviewing, if you're a nurse educator and you're doing interviews for applicants. What would you want to see? How would you want to see that portfolio laid out in a meaningful format? If you treat this like a repository of where you just park things and drop them in, you are not likely to find success with the assignment, and you're also going to miss a learning opportunity to really think through how would this look like in practice. I have an electronic portfolio that I maintain for employment, and it's something that I update probably at least every semester. Sometimes I try to be better at it because I forget things. Make this a meaningful assignment, okay? Play with it before you try to put your content in it to get familiar with the way it works. You will have access to your Blackboard portfolio for about 6 months after you graduate. So if you would like to make this a good tool, you can send the hyperlink to places that you would apply to for future employment. Or you can just keep it as a review tool until you find a online portfolio that you prefer. Some employers have portfolios that they want you to use. That's been my experience both at Liberty as well as another educational setting that I work in. So know that there's lots of options out there. Blackboard's just one. Just want to put this bug in your ear. I want you to be thinking let's see, it's week 3. You have got the first part of your integrative literature review. I want to remind you that your integrative review topic has to be about something to do with the role of the nurse educator. So I want you to start thinking about what are you passionate about and how can you relate your integrative literature review to the role of the nurse educator. It needs to be about the role, some aspect. So start thinking about that now. I don't want you to wait until next week and then you realize that it's due and you're not sure what to do. You're going to be developing the blueprint for the research that you'll do in the databases. So we'll talk more about that later. For right now, I just want you to be thinking about a topic that is meaningful to you, that is related to your future role as a nurse educator. You are so close to being officially there. So I do want this to be a meaningful assignment for you. And now they're wrestling over a toy. All the joys of puppyhood. So my hope is that wherever you are, that you are having a quiet night. If it's a work night for you, that you're having a productive night. I pray that you are feeling God's grace and His presence in your life, and that you feel supported in this course. Know that I'm here. Use the Ask the Professor link for questions that are like who, what, when, where, how. Where do I find the logistics? Anything personal, especially related to your grade or your own experience that other people can't use as a resource, send this to me privately by email. Always happy to talk on the phone, although it can be a little challenging to get me on the phone. Set up a time and I'm happy to schedule an appointment for you and I to chat. Know that I'm here. I know you were tired. I know you were ready for this to be over. And with Thanksgiving and Christmas right around the corner, that's got to make this even more of an exciting time. So my hope is that that's what you're feeling is excitement. Okay, now I have to go play with puppies. I hope you guys have a great evening. Be in touch.